What's up, everybody? This is Priyanka, and welcome to CodeCouch once again. Thank you so much for joining me today. And don't freak out, it is still me, it's just my haircut, which is different. Alright, coming back to the video. When I joined web development a couple of years ago, it was not that hard for me to join as a web developer back then. I had to know few technologies, basically HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and that's all. But today, when somebody wants to join to or enter into this web world or as a web developer or front end, whatever, it is just too much. There are a lot of technologies, there are a lot of tools, that lot of things that one should know, and it is super overwhelming. It is damn overwhelming, and that's what today I want to share with you guys, my little experience. Since I really like listening to experiences and stories, I thought of sharing that with you guys. So this is totally real and honest experience that I want to share with you all. And just a little exclaimer, my English is that the video is gonna be mostly for developers, so I'm really sorry for non-developer people at this moment. Alrighty, so without any further delay, let's get started. So little story here that if you know me before, then you know it, but otherwise I have been working as a front-end developer for a couple of years now. So front-end developer, but in the front of the front end. So I would actually call myself a proud UI developer, and who really enjoys pixel perfect design and development, and I really enjoyed being a UI developer so far. But recently I started liking JavaScript, and this was also the part, like, I had planned on learning this for a while, but then this was the hard decision I made, that I want to switch to web app development rather than website development, because I thought I have learned enough or explored this portion of the web very well, and now I wanted to have some good change, and also, why not, that the web app development is booming like anything. So now I changed, little minor change, but still is a major change for me in my domain of working, and I also changed my company. So now I work still as a front-end developer, but mostly with web apps rather than websites. And I feel like super overwhelmed by the technologies, and I just imagine that even though I have a couple of years of experience in the web world, I still feel it is so overwhelming. I just can't imagine how does it feel for the freshers or for the new joinees who are just entering into the world, and they get to know a lot of new stuff at the same time. It's just like throwing everything on a face and pick it up kind of feeling. So that's why, okay, it's a lot of bullshit I'm talking, but coming back to the point. So I joined to this new company kind of 1.5 months before. So just one thing, that I have been always very much transparent to my employees. What does that mean is, I always tell them that what I know and what I don't know. And this I keep very transparent, and this helped me immensely. So I told them in the beginning that whatever my level of knowledge was, like intermediate level of JavaScript and really beginner level of React, and otherwise nothing else. And they really accepted the way I was and my experience. So what happened in the first month was, like, for the first month they give me enough time to learn stuff, and along with the support of a buddy, that is so cool, and also with a dev coach. Oh my god, I'm just blessed to have all the people to support me. and that was so cool. So in the first week, I got to learn some JavaScript and some important concepts. Rather, I would say basic concepts of JavaScript to explore those and build some small component with that, and I was really fine. And in the second week, I have been told to transform the same component with Vue.js, and so I was like, I never had a look at Vue before, and I was like, okay, let me give a try. At this moment, I'm like so excited about trying everything, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Let me give a try to Vue. And my buddy, my colleague, has really helped me in pointing out to the right direction, in pointing out to the good docs and good articles and stuff like that. So for a 1 week, I built a cool Vue components and with advanced topics as well and understanding it. That was really nice. And yeah, like exploring Vue was super cool. I think it's much more simpler than React and really cool at some point. And then I have been told that now you're not working with Vue anymore and let's switch to React. I was totally like, damn, I had started liking Vue now and you guys want to switch to React? That's how it works. So I've been told to work on React, and yeah, because I had prior knowledge of React, it was fine for me to work on React for 1 week at least in the beginning, and I picked it up quite fast because of my prior knowledge, and that went quite good. So I was able to build a lot of components, like React components, and that was really nice. And later comes the tricky part that I had told to um, convert the React components into TypeScript with React. So you use TSX files. So I thought, oh, sorry, yeah. So it was so cool that in the beginning I was so excited that I get to learn TypeScript, and when I read for the first time, I was like, okay, it's just the types and nothing else to change. Felt kind of simple to me, but then when you develop it, there comes like a lot of errors in the reality, right? The documentation seems simple sometimes, but when you work in the real project, you get to know the pain behind it, right? So then I worked on TypeScript. So I'm still getting hang of it, but it is still kind of new to me, I would say. And then later on comes the next years. So for kind of 5 weeks, I have been just exploring with the dummy components along with my buddy and my colleagues, and they fully supported me in learning stuff. And I was super curious to try everything, and it was so cool. And then later on, I have been put on to the real project, and where we actually work with JavaScript and its ecosystem. Damn, there comes the twist. This ecosystem is so big. It's not that small. It's like it has a React, it has a Next.js, it has a testing library called Jest in it, and it has templating for React called Storybook, and it has AWS setup. And yeah, trust me, this JS ecosystem is not that small. It is so huge, and this sometimes makes me feel overwhelmed. But I'm so happy that my team and my colleagues are super supportive. Super supportive in this case. So my learning out of this is, if you're a new joiner or just want to get into the web, first thing is, don't stick on to one technology, for example, or one framework. If you're learning React, oh god, what's wrong with my camera today? Sorry, all good. So again, so if you're working on React for a while and if you feel comfortable with it, don't just stick onto it, rather get to know other frameworks as well. And same goes if you're using Vue or if you're using Angular. because these days companies don't stick on to technologies. Rather, every company is striving to solve the problem, and they choose the technologies depending on the possible solution they could provide to that problem. So there are high chances that the technologies may change depending on the project, and that's exactly how we work in our company. So yeah, pro tip is don't stick on and don't be comfortable in one framework or library. Second thing that I learned from this time span is that be bloody good at JavaScript, because JavaScript is the king. No matter whichever the framework you choose, could be Angular, React, or Vue, the core concepts of JavaScript have been used for sure, right? And most of the time, it happens that it may seem like if we know the concepts, like we can really use the concepts, but it turns out that we really don't know why we're using this function here, right? So there is a thin difference between knowing it and pretending it like we know for ourselves, not to the others. I'm telling, pretending it like we know. So just find out that you really know the fundamentals, right? And the simple thing that helped me is asking this stupid why for every single thing, and this is highly encouraged in my work environment, to ask this stupid why question. So always ask why before writing a single line of code. I know it takes time, but it is definitely worth it for a long time. So always ask why you want to use this function, why you even want to use this framework for this project, why you want to use this variable name or whatever. Just ask this question. So long story short, always be master, or like be very strong in the fundamentals of JavaScript, and always ask why before writing every line of code. In general, if you're new to any of these technologies and you're freshly joining the team, or if you're training the domain, regardless of whatever, so there is definitely a space and room for asking questions and making enough mistakes. So I would really suggest that to take this time, whatever, could be 6 months or 4 months, to make enough mistakes and ask as many as possible stupid questions to get the experience and to get to know the technology and all the framework better. And I think that really helps us and makes us as a confident developer going further. So coming back to my experience, working with JavaScript and its ecosystem is really overwhelming and still overwhelming for me. But what helped me is basically in the beginning to get to know the team and the way they work, and also the way to ship a smallest component. Like, okay, what should I do, for example? Okay, whenever the design comes, first get the requirement and talk to your designers and build the components, write the tests, write the UI. If it is a UI component, write the make a separate UI component, whatever it could be. It depends on different companies. So, and then get through the whole process of shipping this very small component. So in that case, you really feel little confident that, okay, I think I'm going through it, right? And then later on, I would suggest to sort your technologies and pick up the most important one and get to know it and feel confident with it. I know we cannot feel super confident in the beginning, but I guess like feeling okay with it in the beginning helps, and then mostly building on top of it would be best at this time. One frustrating thing that I was experienced was, whenever you want to write this one component, you have to write kind of 5 files, one test file, one is like snapshot file, and other file, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, God, it's a one component, and why are we making it so complex? Rather, we should build everything in a small way, and after all, isn't that the goal for us as a developers, to make everything simple? But eventually I get to know that this complex system or the configuration makes our life really better, and just helps us in avoiding the upcoming problems. That so if we test very well application very well if we test our application very well at component level, we kind of prevent the potential error and our energy and time getting wasted in the future. What companies expect these days is that how confident are you in whatever things you know, and how curious are you to learn a lot of things, and how passionate are you about building some stuff, some product, and also how much are you okay in working with different technologies, basically to be able to switch to technologies quickly. All right, everybody, so long story short, I know it can be super overwhelming to enter the web development world in 2021, but I'm definitely sure taking one step at a time and learning something consistently, and having patience with yourself definitely helps us, because most of the time everybody wants to help us, like a lot of people in the web and also colleagues, but most of the time we don't want to help ourselves in having patience. Rather, we just want to learn things faster and learn things over the night, but that's definitely not how it is going to work. It's going to take some time. So take your time and grow in your own pace, and don't get frustrated with yourself. And yeah, that's the tip from myself. Tip from my side. My English sucks some. Okay, dokie, people. So that was my experience and small learnings. I hope you find it helpful. And if you find it helpful, please feel free to leave a comment and give a thumbs up as well. And one more thing is, if you want any help from my side, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me, especially if you're from rural areas. I will be really happy to help you guys. And with that, that's all for now, and see you in the next video. Have a great weekend. Tschüssi!